All right, I will say good morning. Good morning. Let us begin. We are continuing Mirza Hashem today in the fourth chapter of Shaar Habitachon. So we're actually probably gonna stop a little bit early today because it's a long daf as well. But let's see. Maybe we'll get through it a little bit quicker. So although as you've seen, you can't really get through Shaar Habitachon quickly, right? Everything Baruch Hashem is a very precise journey. So let's begin. Aval Perush Achelik Ashishi. So we'll say we are now up to category number 6. So remember again, category number 6 refers ultimately again to areas in which a person hopes to receive reward for his avodas hakodesh, for his spiritual service. So how does one have bitachon in this particular situation? Aval perush achelik hashishi. So ultimately, the explanation of the 6th category, v'hu b'gemul ha'olam hazeh va'olam haba, asher yihya adam ra'i lo b'maisa tov ba'olam. So we'll say, so the 6th category is receiving reward for things that a person, or I should say, receiving reward in this world and in the next. So remember again, we have this concept by mitzvahs, that there is a concept. Remember, even though we have this idea that a person should not perform a mitzvah for the sake of receiving reward, we absolutely believe that every single mitzvah carries with it a reward. Now, sometimes that reward is experienced in this world, sometimes that reward is experienced in the world to come, but every single mitzvah carries with it some type of actual reward. So I'll say, so how does a person, from a bitachon perspective, how does a person relate to this category? So he says as follows. This is actually very interesting. He says, Shagmul al shnei panim. So first, a reward is given to a person in one of two ways. Number one, or I shouldn't say in one of two ways, because the truth is sometimes it can be both. In two ways. Gemul ba'olam hazeh bilvad. There is reward in this world. Ugemul ba'olam haba bilvad. So the two constructs that the Mechaber is advancing is receiving reward in this world, only in this world, or receiving reward only in Olam Haba, in the world to come. V'yesh shehim re'uyim al shnehem al ma'aseh echad. Now we'll say, sometimes a person will receive reward both in this world and in the world to come for one act. So what he's saying is, in general, so the way reward works is, there are two general categories. Reward in Olam Haba, alone, world to come alone, reward in Olam Hazeh, this world alone. Those are the general constructs. There is an exception to these two constructs, which is a mitzvah for which you will get reward both in this world and in the world to come. Okay, now we'll say, now watch, here's the clincher. Only one problem is, we don't really understand how this works. Meaning we'll say, in other words, that it is not explicitly clear which mitzvahs you receive reward for in this world or in the world to come. So we'll say, let me just illustrate this. Just illustrate how fascinating this is. Take a mitzvah, for example, that has an explicit statement of reward. Right? Honor your father and mother in order that you will enjoy longevity of days. And we'll say, what does Arichos Yomim mean? What does Arichos Yomim mean? Long days. Long days where? Right? It's a machlokes. There are plenty of people who do wonderful kibbud avayim who die young. Right? Plenty of people who are terrible in their kibbud avayim who live long lives. So again, it's machlokes in the Gemara. Rabbi Akiva darshans Arichos Yomim is Olam Haba. It's not Olam Hazeh. So what the Mechaber says is, here's what we know. We operate with the belief that every single mitzvah carries with it a schar, or carries with it schar, reward. And we operate with the belief that sometimes schar is experienced solely in this world, sometimes schar is experienced solely in the world to come. Those are the general realities. Sometimes there's an exception of a schar that's experienced in this world and in the world to come. But all of this, the caveat, we don't know how it works. So it's not really clear. Torah is not explicitly clear in this. But one thing is clear. Kadosh Baruch Hu assured us that there is a reward for every single action. There is absolutely schar for every single thing we do. Rabbi say, this is fascinating. Herein lies a fascinating distinction between mitzvahs and averos. Right? By mitzvahs, I'll say one thing I know about a mitzvah, which is there is schar, there's absolutely reward. What don't I know? What don't I know? What the reward is and when it's going to be received. Contrast that with averos. So he says, listen to this, by averos, when it comes to averos, what do we know about every single avera? Every avera comes with a punishment. And what else do we know? Exactly what type of punishment comes with every single avera. For example, skila, sreifa, hereg, v'chenek. We know that there are certain capital crimes. And we'll say capital crimes come with one of 4 death penalties. We know exactly, right? Again, there's skila, being stoned. There's sreifa, burned, which is hot lead, right? Hereg, by death by a sword. Chenek, strangulation. And we'll say we know exactly which of these capital punishments apply to which crimes. O malchus arboim, right? Lashes, right? When you get malchus. Okay, so even though there's malchus for a lav, there's malchus for an isur drabanan, misa. Ultimately, I would say misa is misa b'dei shamayim, right? Kares, tashlume kefel, double payment, tashlume arba v'chamisha, nezek, shar, bar, shein, ve'esh. We're not even going through. No sin mum ba'adam, shalach aseh b'mavushav, motzi shemra. I will say, here's what's fascinating. With Averos, I know exactly what punishment is received and when it is received. Let's say, isn't that fascinating? Whoever thought about this distinction? I don't know, maybe you guys thought about this. I never thought about this before. In other words, here's what I know. Every single action comes with a reaction, right? So every single mitzvah comes with reward, and every single Avera comes with punishment. With Avera, I know the exact, there's no ambiguity. Most I think about this, there's absolutely no ambiguity. Whatever the Avera, we explicitly know what the punishment is. Yeah, when it comes to mitzvahs, I know that there's a reward, but I don't know what the reward is. Baharaya, even the reward that seems to be explicit is also subject to dispute. Now listen to this. He says, let's just begin this next section, then we're going to stop. So we'll say this requires us to ask the fundamental question, which is why. So why isn't schar spelled out in the same way that onesh, punishment, is spelled out? It's a good question, no? Let's say, think about this for just a moment. If you think about it, by the way, just take this a little bit further. One of the great motivations I have to avoid sin is what? Punishment. But it's knowledge of the punishment. In other words, we'll say, there's no ambiguity there. I know that if there's a particular avera that I really want to do, it's helpful to know that there's a defined punishment, right? In other words, it's Yom Kippur, and I'm getting really hungry. And so all I want is one time, I remember this going back a number of years, I was in shul, and it was towards the front of the shul. There was a father davening with his young son, a very little boy, and you could tell the boy was trying to fast, and his mother had sent him like a snack bag. So what happened? Must have been during Musaf. I don't know. I was turned around. Maybe it was bought by one of the Korah Mishtachavim, and I see the little boy. Right? He looks at his father. Looks over there. He takes out a cookie from his snack bag. Takes a quick bite, puts it away, and looks like this, right? It was so cute because he was a kid. He wanted to fast. He was little. He wanted to fast, but he was hungry. He was hungry. We've all had that moment, right, during Yom Kippur, where you're astonishingly hungry. You want to eat something. So what keeps you from doing it? It's one little word. It's called kares. It's a little detail. Of course, it's not really kares. It's about the avodah of the yom. It's about the avodah of the day. But l'maisa, it's very helpful to resist temptation when you know what the onesh is. It's very helpful. So why not have that by mitzvah? So let's take a look. So he says, let me just tell you one. Mehem kisras hanefesh biladei aguf eni yodua etzleinu. Kol shekei ma shetis'aning bo o titzta'er b'inyanehu. So we'll say, here's the problem. Because so much of schar, because so much of reward is tied up with the world to come, and when it comes to olam haba, no one knows it, right? No one understands it. So it's hard to have a discussion, a concrete discussion about things that one simply does not understand. So because of that, again, we don't know what pleasure is in Olam Haba. We don't know what pain is in Olam Haba. So because so much of schar, one can maybe even make the argument that the bulk of schar, of word from mitzvos, is not of this world, so you can't really have a concrete discussion about what schar actually means. Ultimately, again, he says, however, it is explained to some, right? Some who are on a higher level do understand the concept of schar and olam haba, and therefore also do have the ability to understand what the schar from mitzvahs is. So we're going to stop over here for today. I know we're stopping a little bit early from today's assignment. We'll stop over here for today. So we're going to pick up, I know I'm leaving you a little bit of a cliffhanger, but now that we've created like the constructs, onesh, explicit and clear. Schar, I know it exists in this world, in the next world, both, but yet totally ambiguous, not explained, not defined. Why? So reason number one, why, is because since schar is wrapped up in olam haba, and the olam haba experience ultimately in itself is so ambiguous and not understood, therefore a discussion of schar would simply be irrelevant, not irrelevant, but incomplete with our lack of knowledge of what olam haba is. We're going to pick up on that point in Meretz Hashem tomorrow, and then advance other reasons as to why schar is not really discussed in such great specificity as onesh is. We'll say shkoyach. All right, Chevron, Zoom, you still hear me okay?